Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the practice of Lesson 11 from A Course in Miracles workbook for students. And we start thanking the Holy Spirit for this reunion. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for all the miracles that you work in us and throughout us. And we thank you for presenting yourself through every brother and every sister and every being. And we start with the quote from The Disappearance of the Universe. That belongs for Lesson 11. This is the quote that belongs to Lesson 11. It is, there is nothing about me that I cannot attain, that you cannot attain. Again. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. I repeat it since it's very short. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else. And our lesson 11. Lesson 11. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Again, lesson 11. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. This is the first idea we have had that is related to a major phase of the correction process, the reversal of the thinking of the world. It seems as if the world determines what you perceive. Today's idea introduces the concept that your thoughts determine the world you see. Be glad indeed to practice the idea in its initial form, for in this idea is your release made sure. The key to forgiveness lies in it. The practice periods for today's idea are to be undertaken somewhat differently from the previous ones. Begin with your eyes closed and repeat the idea slowly to yourself. Then open your eyes and look about, near and far, up and down, anywhere. During the minute or so to be spent in using the idea, merely repeat it to yourself, being sure to do so without haste and with no sense of urgency or effort. To do these exercises for maximum benefit, the eyes should move from one thing to another fairly rapidly, since they should not linger on anything in particular. The words, however, should be used in an unhurried, even leisurely fashion. The introduction to this idea, in particular, should be practiced as casually as possible. It contains the foundation for the peace, relaxation, and freedom from worry that we are trying to achieve. On concluding the exercises, close your eyes and repeat the idea once more slowly to yourself. 3 practice periods today will probably be sufficient. However, if there is little or no uneasiness and no inclination to do more, as many as 5 may be undertaken. More than that is not recommended. So, the practice begins by closing our eyes and repeating to oneself, to ourselves, the lesson, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Then we open our eyes and apply the idea with a rhythm that has to be somehow rapid, it says, fairly rapidly. The eyes should move from one thing to another fairly rapidly, while the words should be used in an unhurried, even leisurely fashion. So we are like with this rhythm from one object to the other, near, far, up and down, and everywhere. And you go from one object to the other, while you're repeating to yourself, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. But calmly, the words, but the, how do you say, the move from one thing to another rapidly, like this and that object, and the words have to be slowly, you have to repeat them slowly to yourself. So we're gonna do the minute practice. In this lesson, in the first paragraph, it says that it is the first idea to the reversal of the things you see. It says the reversal of the thinking of the world. It seems as if the world determines what you perceive. Like everything is out there, and you think according to what it happens out there. And the Course says exactly the opposite. First, the things happen in the mind, and you see them out in the world. So it says, it seems as if the words determine what you perceive. Introduces the concept that your thoughts determine the world you see. So the thoughts determine the world you see. Be glad indeed to practice the idea in its initial form, for in this idea is your release made sure. The key to forgiveness lies in it. So in returning to the cause of everything, which is the mind. Now we're gonna set a minute here in the cell phone. And we conclude the practice, again closing our eyes and repeating the idea. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. So we start with closed eyes, and then we open eyes. We start in 3, 2, 1. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. We open our eyes and we go from one object to another. Near, far, up and down. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. We close our eyes and we repeat. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. And we open our eyes, and that's the end of our practice. It's a minute practice, and here the instructions are that we should do 3. 3 will be sufficient, but you can do up to 5. So from 3 to 5 practices for today. And remember, just before you go to bed, when you're sitting on your bed, you can do your minute practice. Remember, just before, what was I going to do? Oh, the practice. Lesson 11, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. And that's it. It's the words go slowly, and the movement from one object to another is rapid. So that is our practice for lesson 11. Thank you so much for joining, Marisol and Ronald. and have an inspired day, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.